I would like to welcome Ms. Kapusky. We have Ms. Dr. Campbell. We have Ms. Collins is here as well. I know you, Ms. Collins. Good evening, Mr. Silver. Good evening to all the principals who are here, all the administrators who are here today. Welcome. Dr. VC, I saw you somewhere. Welcome. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Policio, sitting here. Once again, welcome to everyone. We are ready to begin. We're going to begin with Dr. Hamilton and the state of the school or state of the district address. So I will turn it over to Dr. Hamilton. Welcome to our parents and community members who are here this evening. Thank you for being here this evening. Dr. Hamilton?
Thank you. Good evening, all. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. The superintendent's cabinet and members of our administrative team will present the State of the District address. Each building principal has conducted a State of the School address. So we have taken a part of their State of the Schools addresses and put them together, and this culminates into the State of the District address. So some of these slides you may have seen at other schools, but it will represent presentations from the various departments in our district and representation from our elementary, middle, and high schools. So we'll go through our slide presentation this evening. After this evening, the video will be edited and posted on our website, so you'll be able to view it in greater detail if you like. And we'll have a few minutes at the end to entertain any questions that you may have. But essentially, our presentation this evening is just to capture where we are as a district, how we got here, where we're going, and how do we plan to address the needs in our community. So with that said, we'll get started. That concludes our presentation this evening. Thank you so much. We put that little video together and thanks to Rick McCormick for putting the slides together. We put that video together just to serve as an introduction to where we are and to capture some of the pictures that we've been taking over the year. Our goal is, of course, to document our progress and to eventually produce a documentary, because we really believe that the work that we are engaged here in Mount Vernon will be a model for other districts that are in the process of transforming. We're so convinced that the best practices that we are using in our district will change our district to such an extent that districts across the country will want to emulate the depth of the work that we are engaged in. Thank you. So I'd like to acknowledge board members who are here this evening. Our board president, I know I saw her, Mrs. Saunders, Adrienne Saunders, is here this evening. Darcy Miller, I believe, is here this evening. Darcy Miller in front of me. Mr. Omar McDowell is with us this evening. And do I have any other board members this evening? Okay. Our District Advisory Council represents those folks that you see before us. Absent this evening is our attorney, Mr. Christoph. He's not with us this evening, but the other folks are represented on the panel, and they will also have a part of this presentation. We've included a glossary of terms just because we will be using some acronyms that may not be completely familiar to you. So if we fail to mention the full term, we've created this glossary of terms that you can refer to later on. One thing for sure that you'll hear about is RTI, which is response to intervention. You'll certainly hear us talk about AVID, which is advancement via individual determination, and we'll talk about that in greater detail as well. So as you can see, we have quite a list of acronyms and abbreviations that we use in our district. Our vision is that the Mount Vernon City School District will be recognized as a high-quality educational system where all students receive a rigorous education, prepared to be college and career ready, and develop the necessary skills to compete in a global society. I always use our vision and mission statements at the top of our presentation because it keeps us rooted to our work. And everything that we are engaged in is designed to help us accomplish our mission and goal. And if we do not keep that at the forefront of all of the work that we do, we will be sporadic and not have targets. And so clearly, anytime you're headed somewhere, you have to know where you're going. It's like using a GPS, if you will. If you don't have a destination in place, you can end up essentially anywhere. And that's what our vision and mission statements are designed to do, provide a roadmap for us so that we know where we're headed. Our overview for the SOTA, or State of the District Address, is that we're going to talk about excellence, review what's going on in the superintendent's office, our bond, rebranding, look at some demographics, talk about our incredible arts program, curriculum instruction report, gifted and talented, career and technology, and the other items that are listed here. This is a very entailed presentation, and again, it will be posted online for you to review at your leisure in greater detail. So what does excellence look like? So when we talk about creating an excellent school district, we have to operate from a common frame of reference. Passing the bond is certainly a part of it in school budgets. But as we look to rebrand our district and increase communications, and we connect that with improving student outcomes, we have to match that with higher accountability standards across the district. So there is no mismatch in terms of making sure that our work reflects sound research. What happens, however, in many districts across the country is that there aren't standards in place to ensure that people are being accountable and implementing the programs and services that we are committed to. Professional development is key. So in order for us to make sure our teachers are in fact delivering first-class education to our children, they all have to be trained so they're operating from the same script. So we've revamped professional development, and we'll talk more about that. We want to make certain that we are impacting our culture and teaching our children about tolerance and acceptance. So we are making sure our curriculum includes education for our youngsters that is free of bias, not just for our youngsters, but even our adults. And in order for us to uncover our biases, we have to first acknowledge that we have them. And we all have our own history and our own baggage. And when that is presented in the classroom, children pick up on that in the delivery of services. So we take this very seriously. Standards-based schools, and that is our effort to make sure that what happens in one school happens in all of our schools, and expanding community partnerships. In the superintendent's office, there's a greater level of engagement with families, the community, and we want to make sure that we are being as inclusive as possible. Any system, in my mind, that disenfranchises another group or an individual group is a disservice. Rosemarie Jaros just walked in, another one of our board trustees. Good to see you, Mrs. Jaros. Any system that perpetuates separatism or inequity, in my mind, has to be uncovered. So we are making certain that we try to engage as many of our stakeholders as possible. Realigning alignment of central office procedures and protocols for better customer service. So we just trained all of our central office staff, because one of the things that I hear from people often is, when I walk into the central office, I don't get service, or people don't return my phone calls, or sometimes people are rude on the telephone. So we've just conducted a full training for our central office staff so that we now have an understanding about what the expectations are, and people have a system in mind, and there's a system in place to make sure that we know what quality customer service is like. We're moving toward a greener district through digitalization, trying to eliminate some of the paper that we utilize, and becoming more environmentally conscious. As we talk to our children about reducing their carbon imprint, we have to model that, particularly at central office. For the Sake of Our Children is a very strong initiative that I take very dearly, and that's my commitment to ensure that we are closing the achievement gap. And the achievement gap represents the disparity in education for youngsters because of race, socioeconomic status, gender, or disability. So our goal is to make sure that all of our youngsters are receiving a quality education in there, and we eliminate the gaps wherever they may exist. So we've just passed a very large bond associated with capital improvements, which we are committed to restore our buildings and the aesthetics in our district. We've been able to create a budget again for the 2017-2018 year. The bond has no effect on taxpayers until the 2017-2018 year, and we estimate that the first impact that you will see as a result of the bond will be approximately $6, and that will begin in the 18-19 school year. We've already been talking to you about what that 2020 vision represents, which includes pre-K, full-day pre-K for all eligible students. This is probably one of the biggest initiatives, or probably the most important, I should say, initiatives that we could embark upon, because it gives us an opportunity to ensure that all of our youngsters are coming to school equipped with the readiness for kindergarten programs and services. We will expand our programs on all throughout the district, and we are looking to expand upon the K-8 configuration and creating high schools of excellence that are centered around options for our youngsters, so that children will be able to make a choice about which high school they go to. And we have also earmarked almost $50 million for repairs to our schools. We will certainly be looking to increase aesthetics, including improving our track and fields, the turf football field at Mount Vernon High School, and connecting the lights there, soccer fields, basketball, baseball, and softball fields, tennis courts, a concession stand. So what you see today in Mount Vernon will be very, very different at the completion of the 2020 bond. We've also recognized that because of the age of our buildings, we have to allocate money for removal of hazardous materials in all of our buildings. Mr. McCormick has been working very carefully with rebranding and communications. I'm going to ask him to just present this slide briefly for us. Actually, I think it's the next 2 slides.
Thank you. So we realized early on in Dr. Hamilton's tenure that there was definitely a disconnect between the stuff that was actually happening in the school district and what was getting out to the community and how the community was being informed about it. So early on, we retained a partnership with Focus Media, and they've helped us considerably with our communications. We've implemented weekly email updates to parents and community members that highlight some of the activities that are going on in the district that focus on student achievement and the news of interest that's happening. We've increased our frequency with our district newsletters. Hopefully by this point, everybody in the room has received the budget edition of the newsletter. They're going to go out bi-monthly next year, and one of our ideas is to decrease the number of pages of the newsletter, but increase the frequency so people get more current news more frequently in their homes. We've also revamped and relaunched our entire web page that really puts a focus on student achievement and the news items that are happening in the district. We've utilized social media like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to kind of put our message out there to the public. And what that does, it really feeds the information, it brings it right to you. It doesn't create the opportunity for you to have to seek it out, but it puts it at your desktop at your fingertips so you can see what's happening with our students and at our schools. It's resulted in a really positive outpouring of support from not just the Mount Vernon community, but from the regional news as well. These are just some of the headlines that appeared in the journal news and local publications since we launched the bond effort and relaunched our communications effort. A lot of which had to do with the $108 million bond that the editorial board of the journal news endorsed, and which the public of Mount Vernon overwhelmingly supported.
Our student demographics, as you can see on this chart, the landscape of Mount Vernon is changing. Right now, we have 8,209 youngsters in a building, and this is their ethnic breakdown, and this is data taken as of May 6, 2016, and this is on the New York State report card. Mrs. Collins, who has done an exceptional job with our fine Performing and Visual Arts Magnet program. I'll give her an opportunity to talk about some of the things that are going on with her program as well. Mrs. Collins?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So the first slide you're taking a look at involves our Performing and Visual Arts Magnet program, which right now at the same time, we have another meeting going on. So as soon as I'm done, I'm going to run out. But we accepted 90 new students into this program. So you add that to the 70, and so we have 160 students in grades 6 through 8 for September 2016-2017. So it's very self-explanatory. So presently, the students are in grades 6 and 7. We did a stellar production, there were Blitman and Charlie Brown that featured those students. We produced 2 showcases, one in the summer, one in the winter, and our spring showcase is next Thursday at 6 o'clock. We reduced the socioeconomic status of intern middle school by bringing in students from private schools, Catholic schools, kind of mixing it up from throughout the entire district. We also launched a student academic achievement program via our extended learning program at Mount Vernon High School that goes from 3 until 5 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. The Performing and Visual Arts program encompasses students who are in grades K through 12. So we added this year dance and drama in the middle school schedule. We developed a partnership with Dance Theater Harlem that was at Lincoln and Pennington Elementary School. We created a partnership with Lincoln Center to develop arts integration across all 16 schools. We created professional development on arts integration for all of our art and music teachers. We launched a stream program at Mount Vernon High School, and we just completed 2 weeks ago our high school production of Dreamgirls. Our Gifted and Talented program is the newest piece, and we launched our first and second grade program. We created a partnership with the College of New Rochelle and identified 14 teachers who were interested in becoming certified in gifted and talented education. They will complete their certification process in August. We developed the G&T curriculum along with Dr. Berman, who's a professor at the College of New Rochelle, and she's an expert. She's a wonderful lady. And we finally launched our 3rd and 4th grade G&T program, which is starting next week. And then we hired 3 exceptional teachers for the program. So we're very happy with G&T, the Arts Magnet, and arts, performing and visual arts across the district. Thank you.
Thank you. By way of a short commercial, we're sitting tonight because I've been having some back issues, and so that I wouldn't stand out like a sore thumb, the cabinet decided to sit as well. And I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Neem, who also is one of our board trustees, in fact, the president of our board. Vice President, I'm sorry, Vice President. Thank you. Dr. Gorman will speak now about the C&I report.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
I wanted to give you an overview of our curriculum and instruction report. It is comprehensive. We've been doing a lot of really great work, and in our curriculum and instruction department, which includes the Common Core State Standards, the anchor standards for college and career readiness. I'll talk to you a little bit about college and career readiness and what it really is and what it means today. We've looked at a lot of formative assessments that help drive and guide our instructional practices. And we're starting to look at technology, instructional technology, and how to leverage that, because the only people that call it technology are those not born with a smartphone. So the people that have smartphones, kids coming up, they don't even know what the word technology is because it's such a natural piece for them. So we think that's a really important piece for kids to have through their learning. We're very cognizant of setting SMART goals, measurable goals off of student work, and our teachers and administrators are meeting with their staff to analyze work and see if our efforts are yielding the results that we say we want to yield. We're looking at curriculum mapping, so we get our kids in kindergarten and pre-K, and we have the opportunity to keep them with us through 12th grade, up into the 12th grade, so that's a long time. So it's important that we vertically align our curriculum so the standards spiral up with them, so we're not repeating or misaligning our instructional practices. And we're constantly in a process of revising curriculum. Standards are changing, the world is changing, and the kids are changing, and so subsequently we need to make sure it's a responsive curriculum to the kids' needs. One of our big movements this year, in our first year, has been response to intervention. A little later in the presentation, elementary schools will go into more detail on what response to intervention really is and its impact on kids. The short of it is that we need to reduce and close the achievement gap with our students, so kids are grouped into different tiers and receive different interventions to help close that gap, and that's built into our elementary schedule. In the area of English language arts and reading, we've created committees of teachers to create engaging units of study. That's happening specifically in K-6, and it's gravitating up to secondary as we move through next year and in the summer. Word study program, as opposed to your traditional spelling that a lot of us have gone to school with. Student portfolios we're starting to use, so when kids are done with a year, their folders are passed on to their subsequent teachers. So there's an articulation process, and a very important part is small group instruction, which are part of literacy-based stations.
I have a question.
We prefer, is it relevant to this, or is it something we can answer at the end?
Yes.
Yes, please, go right ahead.
Could you talk about one thing that you were going over? I think you
I'm sorry, can you say that a little louder?
Tier 1, 2, from people
Okay.
talking about it.
Let's go over the tier 1, 2, 3.
So if you, specifically in the elementary part of this presentation, they'll talk about tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. That's when the details will be. It'll explain what RTI is and what it isn't. So just as the presentation goes through, we'll dive right into it as we get, because it's specific to the elementary, and we have about 3 or 4 slides that really detail the tiered interventions. So just hang with us for a couple more minutes. Thanks. Did you want to do the reading, Joe?
We launched our Superintendent's Reading Challenge, where we've asked students to read a minimum of 25 books. To date, youngsters have read over 100,000 books. This will culminate into a carnival at the end of the year for youngsters who have met the challenge. They will be invited to a carnival where we will be giving away 100 bicycles. But in order for the youngsters to be eligible for one of these bicycles, they have to meet the challenge. That's the only way they get invited to the carnival. They are super excited about it, and hopefully your kids have been coming home and talking about the challenge. This is Ollie, who is our mascot for the Superintendent's Reading Challenge. Ollie, which is OLI, stands for Ongoing Literacy Initiative, and he is our octopus created by my wife.
As we move into secondary, our movement in secondary, we've successfully piloted a blended learning, meaning part online, part instructional, and a social studies program, and we are looking at new textbook series in social studies at the secondary level. We're looking at a new career reading and writing program through Voyager Sopris. In addition, we're making a real strong movement this summer and next year in our high schools to really integrate reading and comprehension skills in all content areas. So we're really looking at critical reading skills, that reading is not taught in isolation, that's being taught in all classes, and we think that's really important as our kids sometimes struggle with texts in different content areas. So if you don't understand what you're reading, it makes it hard to perform well academically. In science this year, we piloted a grant called Gizmos. It was science simulations in the middle schools, very engaging for the kids, very hands-on, very technology-based. We've also launched an efficacy study with a company, a third-party company, on Math Envision's product, and the results were so powerful in a positive way that now we're moving forward next year and implementing Envisions throughout the districts at K 1, 2, 3, and 6. Year 2 will look at 4, 7, and the last year will be 5 and 8. So a 3-year phase-in on a new math series for our kids that's very tiered, very differentiated, manipulative-based. We've also been doing a lot of professional development with our science teachers that revolve around the process of elaboration, engagement, exploration, explanation, and evaluations in a more inquiry-based movement.
Again, our pre-K program, we did a pilot this year where we put created slots for 54 full-time slots at 2 classrooms at Mount Vernon High School. The response has been overwhelming. We have seen some tremendous growth with those youngsters in our pre-K program, and it serves as the model for the expansion of full-day pre-K, which will be implemented once we move full speed with the 2020 bond initiative.
As we move to our career and technology education, our data is starting to take off. Kids are engaging in more CTE programs throughout the districts. The course participation is starting to increase, and that really comes to the renovation and the attention to our facilities and programs and partnerships that we're starting to work with our CTE programs, specifically geared at Mount Vernon High School. Very impressive, the auto shop, the culinary, the nursing programs, and we are off and running, and the next slide talks about our growth projections as we're moving forward into subsequent years. We want to continue to build and offer children different pathways to its career to education while giving them comprehensive education as well. As we move forward, we've really started to dedicate a lot of time with our English language learners, and Dr. Hamilton showed you that slide on our enrollment. Our Hispanic learners are really increasing in this district. It's significant in that chart that we showed you before, and subsequently we're trying to address their needs, and we're addressing it through the budget, and we're addressing it through some of the highlights that we have this year, which include the opening of 3 integrated co-teaching classes, the expansion of our bilingual program, the continuation of our Saturday family program, which has been a huge success, the continuation of our summer camp, and our NICE and slot testing process has been starting to meet some of the targets that we've been working with the state to set and achieve. We formed an ELL leadership team comprised of 10 teachers and district leaders that have started really engaging in professional development and dialogue, and our blueprint is a live document, and we are starting to really evolve that so those kids their needs are being met. What I've found in my past districts and my work here is that ELL learners by nature are always assimilating, so there's a lot of studies that they actually achieve at very high levels because their natural daily routine is problem solving and critical thinking and trying to fit in where they don't have the foundation. So if we could engage them in addition to that, we've seen really nice improvement in those scores.
While Mr. McGrath is coming up to talk about the technology highlights, we have over 100 slides, so clearly we're not going to talk about every slide unless you guys want to camp out here tonight. But we will briefly peruse the slides, and again, you can view them online for greater detail, but we want it to be as comprehensive as possible so that the community would know what we are doing, how we are doing it, and where we are going.
Yeah, so a big piece of our technology initiatives involves using smart boards or interactive display units. So it's great when it works, it's great when it's there, it's awesome when it's actually used and teachers know how to use it. So we implemented this year a smart board training coaching program where we actually had a coach go to each of the schools a couple of days during the week and actually work with some of the teachers. We're also going to be completing next year our smart board initiative where every single classroom is going to have an interactive display, which is an amazing thing for us to finally achieve. Our Waterford program, it's our K-2 RTI program. That's a program that helps the neediest of readers in the kindergarten, first and second grade. It was in half of our district, and now it's in all the schools, including this one. That was something that we did this year. And when you look at some of these statistics around Waterford, it's very important to note that when you look at your kindergartners, more than 16% of them made 6 months of progress. 6 months of progress, and keep in mind, they were coming with deficits sometimes below the kindergarten level. So they come to us how they come to us. Our job is to bring them up to the grade level. By grade 1, we had 75% of our neediest readers on grade level, and by grade 2, 75% at this current after working for 6 months. So it's a tremendously impressive program in terms of its results. A huge piece of it is efficacy. And again, we're using a coaching professional development model where we actually have a coach comes in and works with the teachers on a regular basis. Okay, our ILET program is just another one of those amazing technologies where it's a reading program that essentially is getting kids who hate to read to love to read. It's an interactive program where the kids are reading the books and they're answering questions, and it's an interactive piece. And when you hear 7th graders that were otherwise turned off getting really excited about something that they learned about the text. It's so encouraging to know that this is the future of Mount Vernon. So this is a pilot that we have in Graham School. Graham School we're going to be doing a lot of piloting with next year. In fact, we recently did an upgrade to Graham's wireless. Just to show you, the top screen is what Graham's wireless and what most schools' wireless looks like now. It's in need of a lot of work. We wanted to get a jump on one of the schools so we could work on the culture, we could work on the learning, we could work on the programs. So we did a jump on Graham and we upgraded their wireless, and you see the before and the after. Huge difference. When you have that kind of, these are coverage maps, like the AT&T maps, you know, with the little girl. But these are actually true.
Thanks, Mr. McGrath. One of the things that you have to be careful when you're doing presentations with Dr. Hamilton is that he's moving the slides, whether we're ready or not. So we're ready. So as we move on to our professional development restructuring in our district, we've really done a lot of major reform work in the area of professional development, and it's starting to take hold structurally. We've hired 2 professional development coordinators. We've done a needs assessment, and we're really starting to hit on teacher choice and focused goals for professional learning. We actually did a very entertaining exercise with our administrators, and we said, list all your professional development for the year. And we used the a new third grade teacher entering our year. We had 29 and a half days for them to possibly be engaged in meaningful, important PD, but we said, well, that's a little bit too much. They'll never be in class with their kids. So we're really starting to streamline our professional development, and most importantly, we're starting to build internal capacity with our teachers. And so on March 9th, based on a needs assessment, which we did in the beginning of September for the first time, and we just finished another one now for next year. So we have literally flipped it to a proactive process where at the end of the year, teachers will actually know what their professional development is for next year. And we're really excited about that possibility to have our teachers drive their needs for their students in their classrooms. And of course, everybody doesn't need the same things, so if we just do a cookie cutter format, then it won't be meaningful to everyone, and we want to make sure that we're meeting all of our adult learner needs as well as our kid learner needs. So we try to model everything we do with our teachers, and our expectation is that that filters down to our kids as well. So AVID is a really exciting program that is in year 2. We've engaged in 9 different sites in our district. AVID, like Dr. Hamilton mentioned, is called Advancement via Individual Determination. And it's really, in its essence, a college and career readiness program. One of the outcomes is that all kids in the AVID program would take at least one advanced placement class while they're in high school. One of the other neat things about AVID is that the teacher loops up with the kid. So the connections with kid and teacher are tremendous at the secondary level. I know, you can't chop me on AVID. So here is what we'd like you to do is just watch this short 2-minute video on AVID. This was done by a group of kids, and pay particular attention to the words in this. And it's a really motivating type of video.
People like me.
People like me.
People like me.
People like me don't go to college.
Nobody's ever going to convince me that I'm going to be somebody someday.
Street cred, it's more valuable to me than my education. My life will be defined by those who doubt me.
I know there are some out there looking up to me.
I'll let those AP and honors students be future leaders and policymakers.
Because me, I'm just one of a long line of statistics.
Who knows, maybe I'll even study.
But it won't affect how my life is going to turn out.
People tell me I can't succeed because they can't see past my skin color or how I talk. They say I don't care enough to be a first-generation college student.
I am the last person in my family that's going to be successful.
I'm aware of the skills and talents I possess.
This is my destiny.
That was me, before Albert helped me see my potential, believe in myself, and turn all that around. And now,
This is my destiny.
I am aware of the skills and talents I possess to be successful.
I am the last person in my family that's ever going to be a first-generation college student.
I don't care enough, they say, because they can't see past my skin color, how I talk.
People tell me I can't succeed, but it won't affect how my life is going to turn out.
Who knows? Maybe I'll even study statistics. statistics.
Because me, I'm just one out of a long line of future leaders and policymakers.
I let those AP and honor students be looking up to me.
I know there are some out there, those who doubt me.
My life will be defined by my education.
It's more valuable to me than street cred. I'm gonna be somebody someday.
Nobody's ever gonna convince me that people like me don't go to college.
I knew you were worried when you started, right? As we move on past Avid, you'll see our Avid students start to really emerge as district leaders, and it can affect a large population of our student population. We're starting to move with our teacher evaluation process, and that's been a high news topic everywhere you go, but we are really working collaboratively with our teachers and our principals unions, and we're moving towards an effective 30-12D, a new start in the transition towards the reintroduction of test scores and teacher evaluation. We're really regaining a lot of trust, and we've done a lot of work throughout the year with both unions, and we meet regularly, and we're trying to really restore the trust and use the Danielson framework as a professional development tool, which is the way Charlotte actually intended it to be, to improve teacher process while also complying with the rigors of the state and federal funding. Okay, as we look at some of the data and the benchmark, what I have in front of you is some of our iReady data from some of our kids, and we just want to document our formative assessment process that we mentioned to you before, that we just don't want to haphazardly teach and not see if it's having an effect. So we now do 3 benchmarks, a baseline in the beginning of the year, a middle of the year, which gives us predictors towards New York State education testing, and then at the end of the year. And then we pass that data on to the next grade. So we're really trying to compile a picture of a student, an academic picture of a student. And here are some of the results in reading from our mid-year assessment data through iReady. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but you'll be able to look at this a little closer. We're not nearly where we need to be, and we know that, but it's a good barometer for us, so we know what work lies ahead of us. On a really positive note, we started to increase rigor and course offerings for kids, so we're trying to raise the standard and hold that standard up. So this year we dropped down a living environment to our 7th and 8th grade students as well, and we've seen an increase in exposure to higher level classes, which is impressive. And then subsequently in mathematics also, our enrollment in higher level secondary classes is starting to really grow on the rise. We're always concerned about our graduation rates, and so we are seeing an influx in certain areas, and we're very committed towards really, when you walk into the high schools now, in the back offices, they have every kid listed and what their path is on graduation, and so we're putting a lot of effort on the individualization or personalization of learning for all of our kids.
We've got some, Dr. BC, we've got some significant, there you go.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As you already know, that this is a new department, but it's not new in what we're planning on doing. So the Office of School Improvement are focusing on certain things. For example, our focus on priority school leaders and teams. We participated in New York State workshops, and with these workshops we are trying to craft a plan in which we will be successful and help kids to be academically a success. We also met with school building principals to review the current New York State assessment data. We realigned our federal funding sources, and I have to say that last week while we were in Albany, we got kudos, the school district got kudos for how we reallocate our resources, so that's a good thing. And we continue partnership with different consultants who push into the classrooms. We also do DTSD review with the schools that are on the focus list. As a matter of fact, we just completed one today. And we also planning on reviewing the District Comprehensive Improvement Plan, which is always on the website. Okay. We continue by creating more opportunities for families and school district partnerships with our local agencies. We focus on redesign professional development opportunities that will address best practices. We also adhere to the public school choice notification. We are collaborating with the CNI team to review and continue the K-8 model district-wide. We are building partnerships with colleges. We have one partnership with Iona, and we are about to embark on another one with Columbia. And also we have partnerships with the International Development Institute, and this is for our overage and undercredited students. We will be heading to Thornton tomorrow. Last week we have 40 parents, and we'll be heading there tomorrow to continue. We are also improving education development through Title I funds, and we have reallocated our Title I funds to make sure that it meets the needs of the kids, Title I and Title II. We also have family partnerships, and with our new face person, Ms. Michelle McKitty-Bromley, these are a lot of things that we have accomplished. We do our parent university workshops, we do family resource guide, and we organize a parent advisory council. And also we are trying to reach out to different community partnerships in which we could do with Westchester Jewish Community Services and Sports and Arts and Schools Foundation. We are also ensuring that each school is an active PTA, because we know that's a sore point. And we are facilitating parent workshops to equip parents with the tools necessary to support their child in increasing academic outcomes. We are building new and sustaining existing partnerships with community agencies. We collaborated with different departments on Beyond Measure, which is a film that has been for personalized learning. We also created a family resource guide that we said before. And we have a new liaison for parent involvement, which is at A.B. Davis, and we are working on that for our parent involvement day, which will be in February. Thank you.
The strategy that we are using for our State of the District address tonight is designed very specifically so that when you begin, our community has a face, connects a face with the various departments, but also the progress that we've been able to make in this district so far is quite remarkable, and it is because we have been able to assemble a team of people who have such a unique gift and talent for the areas that they specialize in. I am so proud of this team and so proud of the work that we've been able to do. And so tonight, we're proud of this presentation because it represents our collaborative efforts as a leadership team. And just as we model increasing accountability for students and teachers, we are also modeling accountability at the administrative level in central office. So Mrs. Denise Kapusky will now talk about strategies for department reorganization and how that has impacted human resources.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Forgive me, I'm not going to stand and turn around because, quite frankly, even if I turned around and looked at it, I couldn't see it anyway without my glasses, so forgive me. But what you see before you is basically our greatest achievement this year is our strategy-based reorganization of the department. So we took the entire year of 2014-15 to look at the department, assess not only the internal department needs, but also ask ourselves how well are we serving the constituents whom we serve. And those constituents include the entire district as well as taxpayers, outside constituents, prospective employees, and so on. So what you see before you is the first of two slides, and that represents the two-pronged system that was introduced for the first time in 2015-16. So this year, what we have in front of us is the teaching and learning slide. So what we found in our assessment is that the structure that was in place that we inherited in 14-15 was really very task mastery oriented because it had been introduced in the late 1990s. And although that strategy and that structure served the district well for many years, it was not serving our current needs, nor was it adequate to serve teaching and learning needs through the future. So we reorganized the department, brought in another certified administrator, and that's my colleague, Dr. Campbell, who many of you know. And we continuously ask ourselves, okay, what is the teaching and learning work that we do? How do we know that we do it well? Where are our growth needs? And how are we going to continue to improve? And that's basically the three areas. So, and when we look at our human capital, which we believe is our greatest teaching and learning asset, the reason why that is our greatest teaching and learning asset is because our mission is to educate children.
And therefore, in order to do that, we have to constantly assess and review the collective intellect, talent, and skills of our human capital needs. They are our greatest our asset, and those are our employees. So what we do is we look at the compliance and service needs, constantly ask ourselves, are we serving our constituents well? How are we communicating? We introduced several new protocols this year, most of which were written, that now support our administrators' needs, give them ample opportunity to prepare for decisions that relate to our human capital. We introduced a more rigorous teaching and learning, recruitment and retention process. So quite frankly, it's not just a matter of paper pushing. We look very deeply. We've worked with all of our administrators who implement this extremely well in terms of being able to implement very rigorous interviews, constantly looking at the quality of the pool, and not necessarily just rubber stamping individuals who they choose to move forward to join our team. We also have worked more rigorously in partnership with exiting employees that we felt no longer met our needs. So the second piece.
We restructured our legal department. When I came into the district, we were spending almost $1 million in legal fees, which I thought was just a bit much. So I encouraged the board to hire our own counsel to the board to help reduce some costs, which we have been able to do. So far this year, we've been able to save about $250,000, and we are continuing to look at how we can further reduce that. A lot of our costs are associated with special education and matters that are being litigated, and we are also in the process of looking at protocols and procedures for addressing some of the areas in staffing that results in student, staff, and other kind of disciplinary issues that may result to helping people through the de-hiring process. Mr. Silva will now talk about our business office, who is our assistant superintendent for business.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here tonight. We recently have announced, and we're just about to start our $44 million energy performance contract, the largest in New York State history, costing the taxpayers nothing and providing some 34 new boilers for our buildings, 15,000 retrofitted lights, new windows and doors at Mount Vernon High School, controls so that when people go into a room, the lights go on, they go off. When they go off, we will save several $1 million in energy costs in this first year, and every year for the next 18 years, we will have some positive cash flow from this of some $300,000. This pays for itself. It's guaranteed by Honeywell. The state also supports it with state aid. It costs the taxpayers nothing, $44 million, that we never could have afforded without this opportunity. So we are most proud to be able to present a budget with an increase because of our cost increase, yet the same taxes as we have this year and the same taxes as we had last year. So no increases in taxes. For the third consecutive year, and yet we have still been able to add nurses to all the schools, guidance counselors, social workers, middle school athletics, and all of the other additional programs such as special ed and English language learners, while at the same time being able to hold the taxes. In this budget alone, separate from the bond and separate from the budget that you will be asked to vote for next week, we have $2 million dedicated for immediate capital repairs. One of those major areas will be Mandela School, which will get a gym renovation and bathroom renovations in this coming year, while some of the other repairs may take a little bit longer. We have our savings fund balance is the maximum allowed by law, 4% of our budget, and that will remain intact for next year. The only fund balance we will be using next year will be that's what's called restricted reserves, those to offset the costs that we can't help. We do not budget for things like certiorari, tax refunds. We had over $2 million in tax certioraries this present year. We did not budget for it, and yet we had restricted reserves, which covered some 60% of that cost. There are other reserves that are specifically earmarked for things such as workers' comp increases, other liabilities that the board has chosen to restrict monies for. That's in addition to our maximum savings of 4%. We have really regained the trust of the community. When we first got here, really nobody trusted anything we're doing. Now in our second budget, same taxes, we feel that we have earned that trust that we are explaining to you today. This is just a graph showing the taxes. You can see they're flat, no increase in the tax levy from the school district for the third year.
Is leading our facilities department, and I will let him proudly present what's going on in our district as it relates to facilities.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, good morning.
So, as Dr. Hamilton has made it clear, there's really no better time to be in this district than right now. We are seeing a transformation of our facilities, many, many years of decay and mismanagement, to what we can do now. Like Mount High School, for instance, this is before and after. And we have another one, another one at Mount High School, before and after, just small little pockets of things that we can do. And then the showcase that we all know here is the entrance to your school here in Pennington. And this is just the beginning of something really big here. Now it's going to take a little bit of time, and we're going to go project by project, school by school, until we take a bite out of everything. We have at Mount Vernon High School, we have our gym project, which is going to be amazing. At Parker and Graham, both the auditoriums are actively being renovated as we speak. These renovations are large, they're multi-agencies and multi-cooperation type of project. You will not recognize them when you see them again. We're transforming everything. And then we're going to do the little things around the district. Curb appeal, litter, all the things, landscape, all the things that we didn't do or we did differently. We're going to do it now in a much more proactive way. And I'm very excited to be here, and thank you very much.
We spent quite a bit of time looking at how we can make our schools safer for staff, and yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I just have a question.
Yes.
You know, you brought up the playground. Our playground was supposed to start in September, I thought. All this year, our playground was just supposed to be starting construction. So I'm just curious as to when, because last year we were supposed to have a PTA meeting where this was in action and this was going to be started. So I just want to know where the disconnect is.
So we have a $176,000 grant from the state to do the playground, fields, and bleachers at this school.
Yes.
We changed architects in mid-course, and the new architect said they wanted us to wait until we were absolutely certain about the footprint of the addition to this building before we do any playground work, because we do not want to spend all that money, put a playground in, and have it be right where we might be doing the extension. So we expect that work could happen soon as we settle on the way the extension to this building will look, the 8 classroom or thereabouts, 8 classroom or thereabouts extension to this building. That work will not start until next summer on the new construction, but the playground work will begin as soon as we know what the footprint of the construction will be.
When is the timeline for that? Yeah, like when do we have to know when the footprint is?
We should know when the footprint will be by, I would say, in the next 30 days, we'll know what the footprint will look like, and then we'll be able to...
And then you guys have an architect for the playground already?
It will be the same architect as the architect who is doing the bond work.
Okay, so if in 30 days the blueprint is satisfied, so that hypothetically for the park should start being built like in the summer?
The
Playground.
Once the footprint is established, we will be able to begin construction of the playground. We'll be working with the building principal, the facilities committee, to determine exactly where the playground will be. We do believe that the early childhood playground may have to be moved as well. That's why we just must wait. But until we're done. But I would say we should be able to do this work, start this work this summer, yes.
Okay, so just so we know, we may lose our rainbow playground?
I didn't say, that playground may have to be moved.
Okay.
We will not be losing it. It may have to be moved depending upon the location of the extension of this building. So there will be 2 playgrounds.
We've been doing a lot of work after some survey information to enhance security measures. We've retrained our security team. They're constantly being trained on de-escalation, and we're now embarking upon how ready are we in the event that we have a huge event in our community. So we are having a study conducted, and we will be receiving training from specialists from the state on how we might respond to an active shooter or any other kind of emergency that may emerge. We have a plan in place, but that plan clearly needs to be updated, and we are working with state officials to look at some of those highlights and revisions as well. So we have an exemplary PBIS, or Positive Behavior Intervention System, in place. One of the models in our state is right here in our district, and that is at Rebecca Turner School, and the principal, Mr. Jamal Doggett, will talk about that.
Good evening, everyone. Like Dr. Hamilton said, this PBIS program for the district was created based on the success of the PBIS program at Rebecca Turner Elementary School. Over 3 years, we saw a 61% reduction in out-of-school suspensions, and our student achievement went up, so here we are. The purpose of what is PBIS? It's basically an evidence-based system to support academic achievement by eliminating barriers to learning. Everyone follows the same behavioral expectations. PBIS, rather than being reactive, is proactive. We focus on a positive behavior. We acknowledge students for doing positive things. The hardest task for me for all this training was to come up with a year's worth of work in 4 slides. So our accomplishments for 2015-16's work, a PBIS district leadership team was established in July. A manual was created. This manual created the blueprint, guidelines, and procedures for PBIS. All district administrators and principals were introduced to the plan in September 2015. Tier 1 professional development workshops were conducted by the PBIS leadership team on October 2nd, November 6th, and April 1st. And this work required us meeting with the PBIS team for each school. Each school's team were required to do work back in their buildings to get PBIS running it off the ground. So PBIS has 3 stages: developing and exploring, which we finished this year, and we're looking for full implementation for the 2016-2017. And the goals will be to improve school climate and safety in their schools, decrease rates of office discipline referrals, decrease the number of out-of-school suspensions, identify all students in need of support, and using data to guide their decision making. Teachers are collecting and administrators are collecting baseline data now. So in 2017, I look forward to presenting you with better reduction in out-of-school suspension data for the district. Thank you.
You are a principal from Columbus School, Dr. Seabright. Oh, Colleen is doing, I'm sorry. Carol doing that. Carol is our principal from Holmes Elementary School. Should have been so informal. Mrs. Quinones.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. Good evening, everyone. This evening, I'm going to spotlight some of the celebrations and activities that happen at the elementary level. The one thing that we like to do, certainly at the elementary level, is to acknowledge academic success. So we do have honorable assemblies each marking period where we recognize students who have achieved academic success and have demonstrated exceptional effort. We like the opportunity to invite parents in when we have celebrations of literacy, so World Read Aloud Day and Dr. Seuss's birthday. We celebrate Black History Month through our music, through our readings. It's a way for us to really look at our past successes and to see our interests. Students at the elementary level perform. We did dances that were that took place in the past. They performed songs and music. We invited guests in. We did literature and poetry readings of African Americans. Earlier, Dr. Gorman did mention that professional development is taking place and it's growing in our district. Two of my teachers this past year did do professional development for the district. It was a successful day because teachers had the opportunity for choice, as he mentioned earlier. We also believe that professional development is important in honing our craft, and several teachers and I did attend Teachers College, Columbia, in our Saturday workshops. We have parent involvement days. You are aware it's certainly an opportunity for parents to come in and really see the curriculum that goes on and be involved with the children, and the teachers get the parents involved in the instructional process as well. Our media center is really flourishing with literature, the opportunity for children to really develop literacy and read. This past year we had American Girl Tea Party where the girls read several books and they had a tea party. And this year we also did Marvel comic books as well.
Dr. Seabright?
Thank you. Good evening once again. As mentioned earlier this year, the district, we really went full speed ahead with our RTI intervention. And RTI basically stands for Response to Intervention. So what is RTI? It's a framework that provides all students access to high quality instruction utilizing evidence-based strategies. It is a general education process. It's a tiered model of support that provides intervention to students with a skill deficit in addition to core curriculum. It's a way to effectively identify students who struggle academically at the first sign of difficulty. And it's also a process that makes use of current student performance data. What it is not is a program. It's not another educational fad. It's not a special education initiative, a quick fix or short-term improvement. Providing generic small group work without specific targeted skills. One size does not fit all. It's not an E&L service, and again, special education service. So if I may delve a little deeper. So basically what happened this year with the elementary school's master schedules, there's dedicated time in the schedule for RTI. So therefore the students, for the most part, are not missing core instruction in ELA, math, social studies, or science. It's separate periods built into the current master schedules to provide those students with tiered support. So, wait, go back 1 second. I'll be brief. Okay. So there's a strategy session where there's a development of additional evidence-based strategies to use with student at his or her current tiers. So as the parent asked earlier, there are 3 tiers. Tier 1 is required of all students, and that's exposure to the curriculum. Tier 2 is where students are provided intervention by either their classroom teacher or reading specialists. Tier 3 is more intense, where those students are exclusively serviced by the reading specialists. So that's the difference in the tiers. Movement.
I'm sorry.
I'll be brief. So movement is determined based on student data. So as what was mentioned earlier, there are different assessments, beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of year assessments. Based on those assessments and common assessments, students can move tiers. So the design is to support the students at their particular instructional level. Now I'm getting Also at the elementary level, we're a community that cares. So many of the schools participated in community fairs. Shameless plug, Columbus's community fair is this Saturday, May 14th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And we also partnered with the MVFT, with the MVPD, and Maria Ferreri Children's Hospital and West Health of Mount Vernon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Dr. Hamilton, I have a question.
Dr. Seawright is our principal at Columbus School.
Dr. Seawright mentioned about the RTI, the reading specialist, but what about the math for the children for response to intervention? She just mentioned the reading specialist.
A couple of things. Dr. Benacami mentioned the reintroduction of the supplemental ed services, but more specifically, the new math program coming in next year is really built-in academic improvement. It's got a built-in RTI piece inside of it, Envision, so it's tiered and layered based on assessments. It gives off different academic interventions and supports. It's a very comprehensive program. We shared it with the Education Committee, and we looked at it through the efficacy study that we're conducting this year, and it's got a lot of built-in issues. With that said, Dr. Jack Nandon, our head of mathematics, will be helping to implement. The model doesn't look exclusively like the literacy RTI model, but we're very cognizant of it and want to provide those same supports for kids.
So at this moment, the school year, there wasn't anything for the RTI for math?
Not based on the massive implementation of the reading RTI. No, we had to layer it and take our time with it to do it well. And so to put in both of those pieces at one time would be overwhelming to our teachers and possibly our kids as well.
So our middle school principals, Dr. Jonathan Brown and Mr. Joshua Whittam, will speak on the following slides.
Good evening, everyone. Middle school is about bringing it all together. And Graham, Pennington, A.B. Davis, and Benjamin Turner Middle School have spent a great deal of time this year collaborating to ensure our students make that smooth transition from elementary school to the secondary level.
As the principal at Davis, I can tell you there's not a day goes by that I don't talk to one of my colleagues, and we are able to ensure that the continuity for our middle school students is there. It doesn't matter what building they're in, they're getting the same quality of support and the same quality of education. And they truly are being brought up in an environment that supports and nurtures not only academic, but all of those very unique changes that our middle school students are going through. Oh, we've already changed the slide. All right, so one of the things we were able to bring in this year that we have not had for many years is we brought a sports program back to our middle school. It's very important for both the academic side to get students to have an outlet, but also for their health, to get our students active and out and motivated to participate in athletics. So this year we were able to bring in both basketball for boys and girls as well as track. And so right now we have, well, as you can see up there, we've got 30 boys and girls that have been in part of the program. The way we did it is we really wanted to make sure that we unified our district. So on our side, we had Davis and Pennington schools have our students blend. And then we also had Benjamin Turner and Graham blend so that we ensured that all schools were represented. Next year, we have the opportunity to bring in soccer, volleyball, wrestling, and baseball. So we're really looking forward to the upcoming years. No soccer, just volleyball.
Wrestling, softball, baseball.
Well, we have hopes.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize the other middle school administrators. So we had Dr. Hunter McGregor, Mr. Newby from Graham here, and also the principal, of course, at the Bennington School, Danielle Davis-Morrow. Academic achievement is always important to us, and making sure that we have frequent checks in progress is a part of our daily work. iReady, which is an online system that provides both instruction and assessment to students, has helped us get a grasp on how our students might perform on the New York State test. While there are lots of numbers here, we'd like to draw your attention to two specific lines. When you look at the line that says students at target, that means that those students have made a year's worth of growth from September to when they took the mid-year assessment in January. We're in the process now of having students take the summary assessment, and we expect this number to increase significantly. If you take a look at the middle schools, in the reading portion, 32% at Benjamin Turner, all the way up to 39% at Pennington, have met the target in just 5 short months in reading. In mathematics at Benjamin Turner, 35%, and again, left to right, at Pennington, 46%. So our students have benefited from high quality instruction provided by all of our hardworking teachers. Next slide. While middle school is about nurturing young adolescents, it's also about preparing students for high schools. A number of our resources have been allocated to ensure that our students have a number of opportunities to take accelerated courses enriching opportunities in the academic setting, and also to receive remediation where appropriate. All of our students will enter high school with an opportunity to have earned a Living Environments Regents credit, which will undoubtedly increase the aspirational performance measure for the high schools in this upcoming year. This will have a direct impact on student graduation rates at the high schools over the next several years. Students will also leave us with Spanish credits under their belt and opportunities to have visited colleges. Virtually 90% of all the middle school students will have spent at least part of a day this year on a college campus.
So one of the other things that we asked that we have to ensure that we're doing for our students, and to go to Ms. Crump's question about what kind of support, especially for math, is being provided, using the grant funds that have come into the district, whether it was through the SIG grant or through our title funds, we've made sure that we've put multiple programs in place to support not only the gaps that some of our students experience, but also to accelerate the learning for our students that are ready to take that next step. So we put in programs that include 0 periods before school start, 9th period after school. We've got extended learning Regents preps classes. We have reading courses. We've got Saturday academies for our L's. So there are multiple opportunities that we've ensured so that the learning day doesn't just happen between 1st and 8th period, but that we give an opportunity for all of our students to continue their learning and at a time that works best for the student and for the family.
What we've done with the resources provided to us by Dr. Benny Conroy in the School Improvement Program has been that the supplemental educational funds have been used to support students in math instruction on Saturdays. Saturday Academy has been provided to all middle school students for instruction in English as a new language, mathematics, and literacy. So the school day has been extended for all middle school students with the expectation that achievement will increase.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mandela is not represented this evening because they are actually doing their State of the School address this evening, but we do have representatives from Thornton and Mount Vernon High School. Mr. Ron Gonzalez, who was the principal of Mount Vernon High School, Mr. Mark Amaldi, vice principal, and Mr. Cletus Whittle.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. Good evening, folks. I have the distinct honor of sharing with you some of the highlights for Mount Vernon High School, the Mount Vernon High School, and I believe I will touch upon some of the slides for Mandela Zollicoffer High School. So I'll begin with how we started the school year off. We set a vision that was very similar to the way Dr. Hamilton began his journey by setting a vision. At the core of the Mount Vernon High School vision is that we want students to view education as the tool to change the rest of their lives. So we engaged in the leadership team engaged in creating a school vision that had that at its core. We also adopted a mission statement. So a mission statement that we've adopted in terms of a theory of action is an if-then statement. So if we utilize our human capital resources, if we conduct focused learning walks, and if we engage in a data dive, then we will notice trends and we will notice places that we need to make adjustments, and student achievement will increase. I think I'm faster than Dr. Hamilton. And so what success looks like is it's very personal. And so this year we actually restructured Mount Vernon High School for the 2015-16 school year and created small learning communities. And what we found is that it's become a lot more personalized. So our small learning communities are offering honor roll breakfasts, they're offering achievement ceremonies, and they're able to reach students and their families on a much more personalized level. Because of the creation of small learning communities, we've also been able to expand some of the course offerings, particularly in the career and technical education courses, as you have seen in some of the other slides. The other piece is that we're continuing to focus on college and career readiness, and so we're using opportunities that the state has provided, like Access VR, and creating of portfolios to make sure that the students that are enrolled in those career and tech programs have that portfolio to receive the appropriate credits, so that when they leave high school, they leave with an accreditation in whatever career and tech path they've chosen. Some of the focus points that we created for this school year were around safety and security, the classroom environment, and supporting adult development. And so we've put some expectations in place for students in the hallways and the classrooms. We've laid out some expectations for teachers and what the environment should look like. It should be clean and orderly. The academic work should be challenging. And we wanted teachers to really learn from each other, so with support from Dr. Gorman and Dr. Hamilton specifically, we developed some teacher leader PLCs. We've engaged in and have had the support of Reach Education, which is a consulting agency that is made up exclusively of retired principals that have come together to help us lead the work around teacher PLCs and have conducted several focused learning walks with specific actionable feedback so that teachers know what the expectation is and so that students are able to continue to perform at high levels. We honor academic achievement. This year I'm extremely proud of both our senior class as well as the underclassmen. This year was the 3rd annual mobile app contest, and it was only the 2nd time that Mount Vernon High School and the Mount Vernon City School District participated, yet our students placed 3rd among all schools. So the underclassmen came back to me the next day and said, "Don't worry, Ms. Gonzalez, we'll win next year." We have some outstanding students that speak articulately and represent you very well, the community. So we had 2 students place at the New York State FBLA Championships. They took 5th place, and then we had 1 student that took 2nd place in the public speaking portion. She actually qualifies for nationals, so she is flying down to Atlanta with Mr. Rundle, our FBLA advisor, the end of June to represent the Mount Vernon City School District. Our Model UN students are actually participating tomorrow. I'm joining them at the United Nations to participate in the International Youth Summit. And so they are able to do that because we have a Model UN club at Mount Vernon High School, and they've engaged in competitions both locally, very locally, internally in terms of Mount Vernon, as well as with other schools throughout Westchester. College Application Week was outstanding this year at every high school. Manhattanville College conducted on-site interviews of students, and at the end of the day have offered a total of $122,000 in scholarships to our students from Mount Vernon High School. We've also had college acceptances and full academic scholarships to some of the institutions listed here, like Boston University, Hofstra, Full Sail University, Mercy Honors, Oakdale in California, and South Carolina State and Coastal Carolina. So now briefly on Mandela Zollicoffer, they've also developed a vision and a mission statement, and so their vision statement is that they will be recognized as a non-traditional professional learning community with exemplary collaborative, data-driven instruction and student learning as the highest priorities. I do know that the folks and the staff at Mandela Zollicoffer High School are embracing the career readiness and global awareness component, and they're trying to use as many of the outlets that are available to students in terms of global awareness, which include sending students out to the BOCES programs for vocational training with smaller class sizes, and they're working to create a safe and nurturing environment that's flexible and conducive to optimal learning. So these are some of the accomplishments. As you can see on the right-hand side, the passing rates for Regents examinations and the percentages. For Common Core English, they are at about 40%. The regular ELA is about 33%. Sorry, I can't see. Algebra is somewhere around 23%. Living environment is back up to 33%. U.S. history at 30%. Global history is at 44%. And Earth Science Regents at about 5%. So this is how they compare from January Regents of 2015 to January Regents of 2016. In all subject areas in 2015, they had a passing rate of 25%, which means obviously 75 did not pass. And this year, they had a whopping 41% passing over the 25% from last year in terms of all of their collective Regents examinations. Now to my colleagues.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. So, I'm Mr. Raimondi. I'm one of the assistant principals at Dort High School. So let me first start by saying we are a school in good standing and very proud to be there and intend to stay there permanently. And it's, yes, thank you. We have an amazing faculty that works tirelessly with our students, and we take their education very, very seriously. And we adore our family, and we don't quit. So through that, we have many initiatives before school, during school, and after school. ranging from academic intervention to extra help in classes, credit recovery, Regents prep, test review. We have our AVID program, which is a terrific program in the building. We also make sure that we meet with our teachers to ensure that if students aren't at a 70% passing rate, what can we do to intervene and make sure that they meet and exceed everyone's expectations. So we just have a tremendous Thornton family, and just we work tirelessly, like I said before, to make sure that we give the students of Mount Vernon, especially the students that attend Thornton High School, the best possible education that we can give them. So I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Mr. Woody. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mr. Woody. I'm the Dean of Students at Thornton. Some of our achievements and celebrations, like Mr. Doggett had mentioned, we have a very active PBIS program in our building. What you see on the board is one of the student recognition billboards that we had put up. We also have several other programs which Mr. Gonzalez had mentioned. Our students participated in the Westchester Smart Mobile app. We have numerous holiday extravaganzas and student presentations, a student attendance rate of over 95%. Additional ones, we have the college fairs and trips. We have numerous college acceptances. And just to highlight some of the other achievement celebrations, I think as part of the PBIS program, we have a 28% reduction in suspension over 2 years, very active community service programs, multiple blood, food drives, cancer research fundraisers, Thornton Reads, which is active in the building for about 2 or 3 years now. Great Potential is a very good program. They're participating in the UN event tomorrow in New York City. We have 8 AP classes and 2 pre-AP classes. Again, to reinforce what Mr. Ramundi said, our school is a family, and we work each and every day to make sure that our students are successful and they feel they have a place.
We're almost done. I know you have a candidates forum right after this, so if you bear with us a few more minutes, we're almost done. We need probably 10 minutes tops, and we'll be able to finish up. Mrs. Kay Holmes will now present for our special ed department.
Good evening. So I'd like to first say that this is the first year that we've combined both the special education department with the pupil personnel service department to a student services department. And I was asked to choose the things that I'm most proud of this year. And so I started with programs for students with autism. Our students with autism have historically been referred to out-of-district programs, but with the development and the working with Carbone Clinic, we were able to create 8 classes for students with autism at both Rebecca Turner and Traphagen Elementary Schools, and the first class this year at Benjamin Turner Middle School. I don't know if anybody had the opportunity to listen to the interview that was done with CBS Radio, but Vincent Carbone did come to visit our programs and highlighted them as one of the best in Westchester County. Another thing that I'm extremely proud of is the fact that Dr. Carol Litz, who is one of the premier psychologists working in dynamic assessment, now retired, did her last workshop in the Mount Vernon City School District. What dynamic assessment does, it allows our psychologists and speech and language pathologists to assess students' learning potential without standardized measures, meaning we test a student, we teach a student, and then we retest. So with an adult helping to mediate the learning experience, we see whether or not a student can make progress and how that student can make progress. We've created very good partnerships this year with Westchester Institute for Human Development and our social services agencies in order to ensure that students in the foster care system have a seamless transition into our district. We want to make sure that they're registered quickly, that they're enrolled appropriately, and that we provide them with the needed supports and services because they are our most vulnerable students. And I have to thank Trustee Saunders for helping us get the Special Olympics and the Pioneer Games going. So our students with disabilities have opportunities for after-school activities and after-school clubs. You can see them here participating in a basketball game with New Rochelle High School students, and they had the opportunity at the College of New Rochelle to do a number of different activities. This one you can see they're doing yoga and mindfulness. So there's a lot of great things happening in the Student Services Department.
In our guidance departments, we have increased the number of guidance counselors in our schools. We've made certain that all of our schools have guidance counselors, including the representation in all of our elementary schools. We know that our youngsters have significant needs, and they require services that will help them be as ready for education as possible. We had a district-wide college day on April 26th, and all of our students in grade 6 were participating in a College to Kids and Kids to College initiative. All 7th and 8th grade students visited at least one college this year. We're extremely proud of that. Our motto moving forward is college begins in kindergarten. So we will begin to expose our youngsters as early as kindergarten to college process. All 3 high schools participated in the New York State College Acceptance Application Week, which was October 26th through 30th, and over 700 applications were submitted during Application Week. Grade 10 students from Nelson Mandela and Nellie Thornton attended BOCES Career Conference, and both Mount Vernon High School and Thornton students hosted college fairs, and we're very proud, and as already mentioned in the high school program, in the high school presentation of those acceptance letters that students received. These are some of the colleges that were represented and our students will be attending. We are very happy to see that our college youngsters who are expressing interest in 2- and 4-year colleges are increasing. Our goal is to make sure not just that they are getting in college, but they are completing college. So we're working to provide those supports necessary for those.
All right, we're winding it up. 7 more slides. Congrats to our interscholastic teams and coaches. We did want to acknowledge some of their accomplishments and give you some quick updates on how they progressed this year. Our girls track team, the 4x200 team, was selected all-county and all-section during the indoor season. The boys track team during the Ocean Breeze tournament were relay champions. The indoors men relay team was named all-county, and the same team was named all-county with some of the other kids, the second team. The girls volleyball team, led by some of our seniors, captain and team MVPs, our cheerleaders, we're moving along and having a successful season, as well as our girls soccer and our girls varsity tennis. Our football team enrollment numbers are soaring, so we're getting a real rededication to the football team, and year 3 phase-in at the middle school will include a middle school football team, which we're proud of. Our boys soccer team is starting to improve, as well as our basketball at the middle school, and they won the tournament of champion at the high school, and the snowball tournament in Vancouver, Canada. And in our middle school team, it was just an introduction this year, and so there was a strong community involvement with our middle school kids already, and now we're combining it into the school domain as well.
So I promised our team we would be done by 8, right? So this clock is actually slow and has me on schedule. So that's the one I'm going by. So in planning for success, we've implemented a process called OEE, Orchestrating Effective Effort, which is our effort to make certain that all the things that we are doing in the district are in alignment, that our fiscal plan for academic excellence, along with our goals and objectives approved by the board last year, that they are indeed in total alignment. We've made sure that there was an alignment between assessment and evaluation of our programs. So we're not just continuing programs and adding programs on without looking at the validity and success of those programs. and we clearly have our eye on the future. We know we have more work to do as it relates to community outreach and getting our teachers to focus more on student artifacts. So when we spoke earlier about differentiated instruction, how well our children do will not necessarily be exclusively about how they perform on state assessments. We're not naive to the fact that those are the numbers that get reported on state tests, but we also know that there is evidence in student artifacts that our teachers have to pay particular attention to. We're using research-proven professional development. We have a system in place for policy management. We are in the process of updating our entire policy manual to make sure it is current and compliant with the recent laws. Curriculum development is clearly underway. We are monitoring what gets done. We clearly believe, it is my belief, that what gets monitored gets done. So systems of accountability are in place. We're holding people accountable. We're very proud of our MFR process, where teachers are looking very specifically at where children are at the beginning of the year, where they expect them to be at the end of the year, and making certain that there are strategies in place and monitoring along the way. So we're not waiting to the end of the year to see how well our children are doing, but providing benchmarks to determine if we are indeed on the right track. Our goals are clear. Our first goal, which is included in our strategic plan, is centered around creating systems to promote student achievement and, again, closing the gaps, developing a multi-year plan to address our facilities needs and our buildings and grounds, spearheading an initiative to rebrand our district. We believe we have made significant progress in that direction. Goal 4 is centered around technology. And lastly, developing a comprehensive plan for the development of our dynamic schools of excellence and a liberal arts program. And I did it. I could not be more proud to be the superintendent of Mount Vernon, and I say that with all sincerity because I've met some of the best kids I've ever worked with, and I clearly believe that we have some of the most dedicated people working in our district, particularly in the cabinet and our administrators who are here. So I'd like to take a moment to just ask all our district administrators who are here this evening to please stand and be acknowledged. And our principals and vice principals, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you do on behalf of our children, and more importantly, for believing in the vision. Part of the synergy comes from people believing that we really are here for the sake of all children. So I thank you very much for your attention this evening. If you have some pressing questions that we have not already answered, I will be glad to answer them and then give you an opportunity to move forward with your candidates forum.